And indeed, one of the justifications at other places in the report is, well, we can use look at the ways in which we can use the profit for freedom passes, etc., etc. I mean, those two arguments don't sit consistently one with the other. It's either revenue neutral and it's not going to raise a profit, or it's going to raise a profit and we can use it for other things. And that's why there's great suspicion about what's being claimed here on the figures. And finally, the last point I wish to make is that the greater concern, I think, is that this is the thin end of the wedge. It may start at £1.50 now, but where will it be next year? Where will it be in 5 years' time? You know, are we going to find it rising to £5 and, you know, and onwards? So I think that is actually the biggest fear that most motorcycle users have.
Frixos.
Oh, no, it's okay. I just want to ask a specific question. Sorry, I've got a bit of a sore throat, so don't hit me. About 4.2, page 6, about the environmental implications. Yeah, 4.2, page 6, about the environmental implications. It says here that as improvements in engine technology have taken effect on diesel and petrol vehicles, so their proportional contribution to particulate pollution has reduced and that of motorcycles has increased. Are you anticipating the same trend will be evidenced in relation to other pollutants in relation to vehicles and motorcycles, or is that trend only expected to apply to particulates, or will the same thing happen with other pollutants as well?
Carry on going round the table. Susie?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm sure, actually, that I would stand up and be against increases if I'd always got things for free. I can't say otherwise. However, I've thought about it very carefully and I've thought about it very hard. And I started off not being one side or the other, but I have made a decision, and I cannot agree that anything has been said tonight that would discourage me for thinking that my residents should subsidise the cost of people on a motorbike. Bicycles are free, I agree with that. Motorbikes have an engine, they are pollutant, and I'm very upset with officers when they only took on board costs of the scheme and didn't, as Ruth said, I am very, very angry that they never even took on board the environmental issue. In France, they've done a whole big scheme about how pollutant motorbikes are. And you should actually read it because it makes very good reading. And at the end of it, they put down here, the long and short story of motorcycles, even small ones, are more polluting than Hummers. But it's the best thing that we can do for now. It's on the website. If you look up the French, it's on there for you to see. I didn't make, these are not my words. These are words that are in the survey. If you want to make, it may be ridiculous, but that is there in this French survey. And this has been done in Paris, But anyway, there is no doubt that actually motorbikes are more polluting with particulates than motor cars. So I'm really very, very cross, and I totally agree with Ruth when she says to officers, why on earth didn't we put environmental issues onto this? We should have thought about it, and we didn't. So I'm not very, very happy about that. The other thing I'd like to say is that I spoke to quite a few residents today and asked them what they thought about the £1.50 charge. And they said, well, if you add it up, it's not much more. If they pay the weekly fee of £5, it's not much more than a couple of cups of Starbucks coffee at the end of the week. That's all it is. This is what a resident said to me. I've not made it up. And so I thought, that, and another resident said to me, if they don't want to pay £1.50, well then let us take the space back, because at the present time, we don't even have enough spaces for our residents with their cars. So what we're doing now is we're taking a lot of space up. If we're going to give it for free, and yet you've now residents that live here don't even have enough space to park.
Get bikes park anywhere.
Okay, so yeah, okay, I'll leave it there.
Councillor Keane.
Thank you, Chairman. This was a pilot, and the whole point of a pilot is to learn. And I think we've all learnt, whether we are motorbike riders or politicians. And one of the dilemmas as a politician is we have to balance the needs of our community. There is a chronic shortage of space on our roads in Westminster. There are demands from many of our residents for more easy parking for people with disabilities and carers, and some of that is supported by some of the money that is brought in through paying for residents' parking permits and for some of the charges on such things as people who illegally park. Some of our special needs transport for children with special education needs is funded through the parking money, which is ring-fenced. I think it's important to note that there were an increase in the number of bays that were provided. I would be interested to know why so many people didn't benefit or take advantage of the monthly or annual tickets. I think it's also important to note that a one-off charge per day covered parking anywhere in Westminster. You could move around, whereas people who park cars have to pay each time they move. And admittedly, for many of us, we want to discourage car use in the city by those who cannot benefit from public transport or dial a ride, for example. I believe that the green issues could have been better explored. The complexities of emissions and particulates and such like is very complex, and clearly there are arguments on both sides, but there can't be any doubt that there is a certain level of pollution. And I'm not here to promote the idea of making money out of parking, but I think we have to... With respect, we gave you the opportunity to speak and listen to your speakers. Please allow us to speak without interruption. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Bradley.
Chairman, thank you. I've got a few comments I would like to make. First of all, can I say that in some respects, I do regret the tone of some of this report. If you look at Section 9, options moving forward, you will see that, I mean, the whole purpose of this committee was to, I would have thought, to be able to have an input into the final decisions before the final decisions were taken. But if you look at the section called options moving forward, in many cases, options are aired and then the comment comes, it is proposed that. So that there is an indication in some cases of people having formed a view before we've come to consider the matter. I know we're only here to make recommendations. We're not here to make decisions. But I do think that was a rather unfortunate feature of the report. Having said that, I have to say, having listened very carefully as I did to the representations that were made at the start of the meeting, I heard nothing that really convinced me as to why it was totally unreasonable and unacceptable to expect motorcyclists to pay a charge, some charge, a modest charge, whatever it may be, for parking. If I may say so, and I hope this won't be taken amiss, I do think that the campaign made a tactical error in concentrating so much this evening on the perceived illegality of the proceedings. We were told this was abuse of power. We were told it was unprecedented. This won't be much comfort to those listening, but this council was the first ever council in the country to introduce parking meters in the 1960s, and no doubt people would have argued then that it was unprecedented and an abuse of power. Well, it was necessary, and it was a requirement to do, because otherwise, if you allowed it to become a free-for-all, and this will be true for motorcyclists as well, it becomes then of benefit to nobody, motorcycle users, car users at all, if you simply allow parking to be a total free-for-all. And in particular, I was concerned at the argument that this is a stealth tax. First of all, that it's a tax. It isn't a tax at all, it's a charge. And I have to say that if the representative of the Taxpayers Alliance cannot tell the difference between a tax and a charge, then there's not much hope for any of us.